Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, weekend, however you're watching this. Dornbush download 150.
It's a long time.
Almost as old as you. We sort of our round numbers, so 100. We interviewed John Dornbusch, and that just went viral. And so we figured, who could we have for 150? So we went through about 8 or other names, couldn't get there. So in the end, we ended up with John. No, seriously. There was a great story about you on Win News. Oh, not Win News, 7 News. My apologies, 7. Probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. How do you feel about that? That was really complimentary about your involvement in the community.
It's pleasing.
Pretty humbling stuff.
It is humbling, but the important thing is you do what you can do.
Absolutely.
And when you're blessed with living well and able to do things, you do them if you think there's a good cause. So that's what it's all about. And it was interesting, Andrew, because about 20 years ago at this point in time, I joined Dornbush Partners.
Absolutely. Well, in its previous incarnation, which was Nevitz, but we'll get there. Don't jump the gun.
Yeah.
So, how did you actually get involved in financial planning to begin with? What was the journey?
The journey was I was a public servant teaching physical education and administering for many years. And when I resigned, I was offered a job by my accountants, and I worked for 7 years with them doing financial planning in the business. And I was frustrated because a lot of the stuff we were doing was managed funds, and managed funds, although they might have some benefits, they've also not really the cup of tea for me or a lot of my clients. So I went to Nevitz to do stockbroking and combine that with the planning.
Back in 1997?
1997.
You started in March. I started I officially started in September, but I think I was doing work experience from about
about that time.
Around the same time.
Remember, you and I used to see at the squash courts, and I'd say, "Well, come on, you can come down and do a bit."
So it's partly your fault that I'm here. So you sort of joined Nevitz, and then you were just saying to me before we started filming that you then went overseas for a little bit of time.
Yes, Kathy was exchange teaching in Oregon, and so I was over and back a few times in 1998, and Ross Miller took my place at the table.
The former mayor?
The former mayor, and then of course I kicked him out when I came back. And it's been a very interesting journey over the years, and there is no doubt that I think the recipe, if you want to put it that way, or the way we do portfolio planning is beautiful. It's tailored to the individual.
It's not cookie cutter.
No, it's tailored to the individual, and it also means with our menus now we got off-market and listed investments to make.
And without verbling you, I think the other thing with that, because having our own licence, we can be sort of turning into an ad. It's not meant to be an ad, but we're not sort of cookie cutter. You've got to do this. We actually listen to what the client wants and give them what they want.
Yep.
So it is client first stuff.
Yeah. And it's been frustrating because obviously there's been a lot of bad planning, bad outcomes for some people because of a number of factors. And
from an industry point of view.
From an industry point of view, and I've always been a member of the Financial Planners Association, and I firmly believe that that's a very important part. Our professionalism is where we've got to be. Some people have not been very professional. Matter of fact, they've been almost criminal.
Because you're a CFP, aren't you? You're a certified financial planner.
With the emphasis on the certified. But the important thing there is that our portfolio planning, tailored to the needs of the individual, sort of taking advantage of the liquidity of the share market and the good yields, but putting up with the volatility of the share market, not really knowing where prices are going up and down. That is balanced by what we're doing now by the off-market investments, where we're doing unlisted investments. And we started really those 12, 13 years ago when we started our own trust on behalf of the freight terminal, and it's just grown so that we now have a number of managers who we use to find the properties or the land, and and make the investment.
And there's also like money market, you know, with the fixed
Yep.
interest. And
Yep.
so in other words, you know, we find best of breed. Anyway, we're turning back into an ad again. Finally, just before we finish up, what are a couple of the highlights? You know, you look back over your time in the industry, and I mean, obviously helping clients, but from a big picture, what are some of the things that you've sort of observed about the industry over your time that you've noticed as market change?
Well, it's not a highlight, but I'll tell you honestly that the low light is what legislation has done to this business. We are over-regulated for no real reason, in my view, because 99% of financial planners do the right thing.
99.7%.
Yeah.
It's always the 0.3 that wreck it for everybody else.
That makes it difficult to do the work that you should do to comply with the regulations. But the highlight has to be the feedback you get from clients when you find it's pretty constant. You know, we always make mistakes. That is natural. If you're investing, you will make mistakes somewhere down the line because things happen that you don't plan for.
GFC.
Yes. But the critical thing is the feedback that we're getting. Thank you. This has been a good investment. Thank you. My portfolio is doing well compared to the peers. And so that, and if we want to extrapolate that a little bit further, I would love to do a comparison of the retail funds with the industry funds with the DIYs amongst our clients and just see how we compare. We don't bother. We just
do
what we do.
It's interesting you should raise that because I think the last 12 months I've noticed that going on too. People going, oh, you know, my portfolio has underperformed or overperformed or whatever. But you know, I think that 12-month is too short a time frame.
Yeah.
You really need that 3 or 5 year to sort of really. And I'm with you. I'd be pretty surprised if we weren't matching, if not outperforming on the longer term. But short term, you're going to have all sorts of blips, subject to whether you've got more off market or whatever. John?
And the beautiful thing is the control. The client is in full control and they know what their costs are going to be.
And they can see everything that's going on too. John, it's great having you part of the business. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew.
Till next week.